from what I just said, if I was considering not being a member of NAR, I would want to be a member for those reasons.
Yeah, I don't think that there's enough buzz about what that team does. Welcome to Powerhouse, where we interview the biggest names in housing and ask them about their strategy for growth. I'm Diego Sanchez, president of Housing Wire, and my guest today is Sherry Chris, special advisor to the CEO of the National Association of Realtors. Sherry, it's so great to have you on the show.
Thank you, Diego. I'm so excited to be here at the beginning of a new year and so much ahead, so much work ahead.
I'm really excited about this conversation as well. You're pretty well known in the real estate world, but for the mortgage executives in the Powerhouse audience, could you introduce yourself?
Of course. So, Sherry Chris, I've been in the industry for, I hate to even say this, but around 40 years. And I actually started as a real estate agent in Canada and moved into leadership management. I was with Brookfield for 16 years, took one of their brands from company owned, was part of the leadership team that created a franchise model way back when and sold franchises all across the country, which led me to Anywhere. I had been with Anywhere for 18 years. I just retired actually a few weeks ago after a wonderful career with 3 of their 6 brands. Coldwell Banker brand, launched Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate for them in 2008 and grew it significantly. And about 5 years ago, took on the additional responsibility of the ERA brand. So I'm embedded in real estate, Diego, embedded.
You are embedded, and that's a really short retirement because you're coming back to the industry and in a pretty big role as special advisor to Nykia Wright, the relatively new CEO of NAR. Why did you decide to join NAR at this somewhat challenging point in their history?
Well, it's interesting because I was really ready to step down and was actually looking for other opportunities, both inside and outside of the industry. And I have some other things cooking that are not in real estate. But I met Nykia back in the late summer of 2024, and I was really drawn to her energy, to her intelligence, to her sharp wit, and to her passion for what she wanted to do. And I thought, wow, I would really like to stand at her side. And so we started talking about what it would look like. And my role is pretty limited right now, but it's an important one. And that is rebuilding the relationships with the largest brokers, the largest stakeholders, the public companies that are affiliated with NAR. And so I thought, you know what? She's so passionate about this. I'm going to jump back in because it felt like the last piece, the last gig, so to speak, where I can truly give back to the industry as a whole and help move things in the right direction. And when all is said and done, if I've been able to move the needle that way, I'll feel really good about it.
Well, my hat's off to you for doing this and for joining that organization at this critical moment. Nykia Wright, the new CEO of NAR, is relatively new to real estate. Why do you think a relative outsider is the right leader for NAR right now?
Well, a couple of things, and it's a great question. And first of all, she has very smartly surrounded herself, of course, with people that have a lot of real estate experience, including myself, and her executive leadership team as well, of course, are all realtors. And her area of expertise, and really this is one of the reasons why I was drawn to her for this turnaround, is that she is a turnaround specialist. She's worked in other industries, most recently the media industry. And so she, doesn't have that baggage that others may have had, where she can come in, identify the problems, and immediately create solutions. So I I think that she is absolutely the right person for the job at this time. And although some of this isn't public yet, and of course, some of it we can't talk about, but she's already made great strides in making some changes that will certainly come out in the year to come.
Yeah, I'm hearing positive reviews so far, and a fresh set of eyes can certainly help when there is a turnaround that needs to happen.
Absolutely. And there is a turnaround. And, even in, listen, it's only been 3.5 weeks that I've been here, but, when I came in, I thought, wow, she's identifying all of the right things, and she's not afraid to make those changes. So it's going to be an interesting and I think a very positive year.
That's great. So the various issues faced by NAR are well documented by Housing Wire and other housing media companies. How have you been guiding Nykia in these first couple of weeks in terms of prioritizing all of the challenges that are facing the organization?
Well, my role, Diego, is it's limited right at the moment, so I can talk about what I'm doing with her. And she identified early on, and that's why I'm here on board with her and with the leadership team, that the relationships with certain industry stakeholders, including large broker owners, et cetera, is damaged and needs to be repaired. And so that's what I'm working on. So in 3 weeks, I have contacted a lot of people. I've spoken to a lot of people, met with people. We have meetings. I'm at the headquarters in Chicago today, and we have several meetings set up, some in person, some virtual, with some of those stakeholders. And we just continue to meet with them and listen to them. We both agreed that listening was job number one, and then rectifying and moving forward in a positive way is job number two. So that's what part of my job is. The other part is getting Nykia out on the stage, which I'm looking forward to being on your stage soon. Well, she is looking forward to. I'll be in the background assisting, but just so she can talk about what she's planning on doing, so that brokers and mortgage professionals and other leaders can meet her and get to know her. And so that's taking place across the country and throughout the year. And that's something that really hasn't happened before at NAR, where the CEO has not been out there to a large degree. The CEO has worked more behind the scenes. So we're going to have a dual CEO where she'll be certainly working behind the scenes, but also out there talking to the people that she needs to talk to. And not just large broker owners, all broker owners and agents as well.
I think that's really smart to be out there talking and listening and hearing from the industry about what the concerns are and what the path forward is. So really kudos to you and to Nykia for wanting to be on stage and wanting to listen. And I'm really looking forward to having her on stage at the gathering, which is only a couple of months away.
I know, we can't wait.
So from my vantage point, many of the changes that were required by the NAR settlement that happened in the middle of 2024 seem pro-consumer. However, one practice we could see more of is dual agency, where a realtor is representing both sides of a transaction. Do you think dual agency is good for the consumer?
It's a really great question. And, as I think of it, I have to go back to my selling days, which happened way back when, and really, were not that long in duration. But I think that it is, it's something that really has to be tied to collaboration, transparency, and full disclosure. So the consumer knows exactly what they're doing and who they're doing it with. And that is something that I see happening here right at the moment, where decisions are being looked at and made in such a way where all of the information is coming in from many different sources, and the group of people who are making those decisions are, looking at absolutely everything. So with dual agency, sometimes it's good. Sometimes, if it's not transparent, it's less beneficial to the end consumer.
Looking back on your career, how do you think you can remove some of the potential downsides of dual agency? What practices need to be put in place to make sure that there's transparency and that the consumer is protected?
I think full disclosure is, first and foremost. And, I haven't sold real estate for a long time, but obviously I continue to be involved in the industry. But the whatever form that takes, the consumer, along with the agent, needs to understand exactly how the transaction is going to take place. And I mean, let's face it, it continues to be the the largest buying and selling decision that a consumer will make. So to have the right checks and balances in place is very, very important, of the utmost of importance.
Yeah, I completely agree. Another issue that I foresee with the settlement is home buyers signing multiple buyer brokerage agreements, and then there being legal issues and other challenges from a logistics perspective. How is NAR thinking about this issue of people signing multiple buyer brokerage agreements?
Again, they're looking at it, and I'm not the right person to ask this question to, because I'll explain that with Nykia, she has broken us out into different groups, and so we're concentrating on what we're doing best right now and not having everyone weighing in on everything. So that's a question that is not the right question for me necessarily, but I want to reiterate that the right people are in the room talking about it and making those decisions. That I know for a fact. And when you look at the overall leadership of NAR, there's an executive committee, an executive team that Nykia works very, very closely with. And then, of course, there's, the larger board membership as well.
It sounds like Nykia is doing a good job of keeping people in their lanes, which is,
which I have to respect that, because when you look at, I mean, this is a, very large association, huge. When you look at it and compare it to a public company, and I've worked in public company environments pretty well my entire career, you keep the executives in their swim lane so they do what they do best, rather than having everyone have a say in everything. So she's a smart CEO.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense to me. And it sounds like your lane is relationships with the biggest brokerages, which it sounds to me like you think those might be a little bit strained. What's your diagnosis of the problem there? Why do you think big brokerage leaders might be feeling maybe a little bit left out in the cold, or not like they have the best access to NAR?
Well, there are a couple of different things. And one is that some of the large companies were not included in the settlement. And so that's caused strain. And there's a lot of, misinformation and speculation that's floating around there that, can cause increased angst and uncertainty. And so my job is to build trust. I have actually I've built my career on relationships and trust. And so I'm hoping that the broker owners and, other stakeholders that I meet with understand that. I know almost all of them personally and well, and that I wouldn't have gone into this role unless I saw a light at the end of the tunnel and an opportunity to really, build the National Association of Realtors into what it needs to be for the future.
So these next couple of questions aren't necessarily in your lane at NAR, but maybe I'll ask them of Sherry Chris, the longtime real estate brokerage executive. several state and local realtor organizations have asked to decouple their membership from the national NAR membership. And NAR is actually facing a few lawsuits on this issue as well. Why do you think that realtors should join their local, state, and national organizations?
And that is a good question that I do feel that I can answer. And when, I guess NAR, as I see it, has three primary buckets that it helps members with. One is ethical standards, and so we talked earlier about dual agency, and while I didn't use the word ethics there, it certainly could fall into that previous conversation. So the code of ethics, ethical standards at a time like this, I believe is very important. That's number one. Number two, advocacy. And even though it's only been 3 weeks and I've been diving into, a lot of different things here, advocacy is so important. And it's probably one of the best kept secrets here at NAR. And one of the things that I hope to do is to uncover that secret and make sure that it's known to all. And, the people that I'm talking to, it's so important. And the advocacy team has been working very, very hard at what they're doing. The third one is just the comprehensive support that the National Association offers. And that will continue to grow under Nykia's leadership. So I guess, I think about these, brokers and, associations that want to decouple. And I wonder why. What I would say to them if they're listening to this podcast is, let's give it a chance. Don't do anything yet, and let's give it a chance and see in the year 2025 how we can all work together. And if you feel it's not working after a period of time, then go back. But I feel pretty strongly about this.
That makes a ton of sense. So another juicy topic is the clear cooperation policy. And I've been sort of surprised to see some prominent brokerage leaders, including Compass's Robert Refkin, advocate for an end to NAR's clear cooperation policy. What is clear cooperation, and is it the right policy for consumers?
And that is another good question. That is kind of the question of the day, actually. And here's how I'll answer this, is that I have talked to Robert. I have talked to James Dwiggins. I have talked to Maurizio. I have talked to many brokers that are very passionate about their opinions, and as has Nykia and the NAR leadership. And what I like about right now is that Nykia is gathering all of the information from many different sources. I won't even tell you all of the sources, but there's great data out there that she is working on collecting. And then what will happen is it's all laid out and with the legal team, and a decision will be made not based on who is the loudest, based on what is right for the entire membership. And that's the way that decision should be made. So I say stay tuned on that. And it's something that I'm not seated in the room, but from afar, I'm seeing, okay, that's the right way to look at it and the right way to make an informed decision. So it will definitely be Housing Wire news of the day for, for months to come, if not years to come.
Yeah, we'd be excited to break it with you. And again, it sounds like Nykia is being a smart CEO here, right? Like she's taking in the data, she's listening to people in industry, she's going to pull it all together. They're going to debate it, and then you're going to come up with a point of view, or NAR's point of view.
NAR's to me, that seems smart. And NAR's point of view is going to be based on, making the decision the correct way with all of the information that they're able to gather in front of them. So it's going to be very interesting, and I hope that almost everyone is happy with it.
Yeah, it's hard to make everybody happy, but we can aspire to making almost everyone happy. So, at its heart, and you talked about this in our last question and answer, NAR is a national advocacy organization for realtors. How are you and Nykia intending to work with the new administration to advance various causes for your members?
It's already started, and that is, part of the exciting piece of what's being worked on in 2025. So if you don't mind me reading some numbers, because it's too much to even, memorize. So here's what's happened so far this year is that the advocacy group, which I'm so impressed with, and one of the things that I've said to Nykia and the leadership team is, let's get this group out there talking more. They're doing a lot, but talking more to the members. So this is in the first 2 weeks of January. They have met with all 72 new members of Congress. That in itself is incredible. They've met with the 3 transition teams, the Trump transition team, the HUD transition team, the VA transition team. They've met with the new chairman of the committees with NAR interests, the House Financial Services Committee, the Senate Banking Committee. They've met with the Ways and Means Finance Committee on tax reform and successfully advocated for the reintroduction of multiple pieces of legislation. That's in 2.5 weeks. So that team is on fire, and they're going to continue. Now, from what I just said, if I was considering not being a member of NAR, I would want to be a member for those reasons, and really those reasons alone.
Yeah, I don't think that there's enough buzz about what that team does. I think you're right. And I think letting more people know that you're doing the work in DC, it seems really important for 2025.
It's so important. And, it's near the top of my list is getting that out and getting the right people here on this team out to, more events like yours, for example. We should talk about that. And, it will be great to have Nykia on your stage, and she's excited to do that. But what else can we do as well to, just provide information and data that's so important?
Amazing. Well, Sherry, I want to thank you again for joining me on Powerhouse today. I thought this has been an incredible conversation and just the start of a deepening partnership between Housing Wire and the National Association of Realtors in 2025.
We're looking forward to deepening that partnership for sure. And I know that we're going to be talking about that. And I want to thank you for the opportunity, Diego. It was my pleasure to be with you today, and just to be able to share my excitement and enthusiasm, which I think has come through.